Hi, my name is Taran Butler, and I'm the first ever USPSA Triple Crown champion. And what that is being really good at shooting pistols, rifles, and shotguns. And we're here to kind of emphasize the shotguns of competition and also how it bled into the Hollywood world. And starting in that world of shooting 3-gun, I started with a Benelli shotgun. And I was using a pistol grip shotgun. And back in them days, the way we loaded these shotguns was little 4-shot caddies. And we'd shoot, we'd have 8 rounds in the tube, and we'd bring it down and leave it up here and load 4 at a time and do our thing. And this was the ultimate shotgun. I was able to win a lot of championships with this thing. But then later things progressed. And also, as in movies, I was able to work in the Wick franchise, and I wanted to kind of incorporate that style of shooting and 3-gunning into the movie because the director wanted the fastest and best stuff out there. He was also going to competitions with me and seeing what we're doing at competitions. So that's what we're doing. So if you watch John Wick 2, he's got a Benelli M4, and he's loading through the bottom like this, so we can load in caddies that were realistic and they were tactical and ones that you could actually use. As the movie franchise progressed, we wanted the shotguns to progress. So in John Wick 3, we went with the Benelli M2, and it was an 8-round tube, 21-inch barrel. And at that time, quad loading was much more like dominating in competition. And for the tactical division, you weren't allowed to have a mag-fed shotgun like the Genesis or the Dissonant. So to keep winning in that division, I had to progress too. I didn't like it. I didn't like quad loading. I didn't think it was practical. And I was kind of like, just wanted to hold off until the caddies got a little more robust. And we chose not to do that in John Wick 2 because they were available at the time, but the caddies were really flimsy. You bump it, it's a yard sale, stuff like that. So I was very lucky we didn't do it then because it progressed perfectly with the movies. So I showed Chad, showed Keanu, we did it, flipped it over 4 and 4, do our thing. And it's hard to do. It's not easy. And the gun's got to be set up for it. You can't just take a stock shotgun and do it. It's not going to work very well. So we got better caddies at the time, a lot better ones, stronger, able to take moving around, doing all the stuff in the Continental. So we did that. And I asked the director, I'm like, are you sure you want to do this? What's smart about him is he, like in John Wick 2 with the match saver in the famous video, everybody's like, what is he doing? He's clearing a jam really fast. How do you do that? People like look into it. Like it's not a jam, it's a thing called a match saver. And I'm very lucky because I'd won a bunch of Fort Benning championships. The last time I won it, the last stage I was shooting like a maniac, missed the last popper. So instead of reaching down here, grabbing a shell, trying to put it in and press it, you're done. So I was able to do the match saver, drop it in, and I won the match over Nate, who's an amazing shooter. He's, I think, the current 3-gun national champion, also with the TTI Benelli, and by barely 1/100 of a second. It's like, crazy kid, I barely got it. So that's what was the best out there for shotguns at the time. This is still the winningest shotgun. No one has ever won the TAC Optics 3-gun national of anything but a TTI Benelli with Nils and me and Daniel Horner. The time Daniel chose not to use our Benelli, he lost. So, but I went as far as I could in that division, and it was super fun. And we lined that up with John Wick 3 with that gun. And then I wanted to be able to win in open division, but I didn't want to do the shotgun like Miklik's doing these stick things, and Voigt's doing these stick things. And to me, that is so beyond impractical. I can't. Like, quad loading is pretty impractical. You're not going to walk around as a cop and quad load, but it's still pretty cool. But I didn't want to have those stick things. I just was like, I'm never going to learn it. I don't want to learn it. It's just absurd. It has no practical capability. I don't want to have a shotgun with a mag tube that's 17 feet long. I could pole vault over the wall of China and all this crap. So like, I want to go mag fed. So at the time, back in those days, there was no mag fed shotguns that worked very well, but I still wanted to be the first to win the Triple Crown with a mag fed shotgun. And guys had tried and tried and failed and failed and failed. So I got a Sega. I have 2 of them. This doesn't look like it anymore. I had Dissonant do a whole facelift to the gun. So it's completely overhauled. I kind of regret it a little bit. Not that I mean, the gun's reliable, but it doesn't look like the gun anymore. The gun's actually on the cover of the Expendables, and Terry Crews is holding it, and it's hanging between Jason Statham's legs. So, but the gun's totally had a facelift. It's way more reliable, way better. But I went to my first 3-gun nationals, thought I was going to crush, because there was a winning streak by Jerry Miklik and Michael Voigt that was unbeatable. It's probably 25 to 30 years of them taking turns. Here's the crown this year. Here's the crown this year. Oh, you could have it this year. It's my turn. Your turn. I'm like, I got to take these guys down. Somebody's got to stop this winning streak. It's annoying. So my first time out, went there, gun in practice, flawless. As usual, if you get into competition, you realize like everything's great in practice, go to the match, everything goes haywire. Murphy's Law, standing there with a dumb look on his face. So the gun was a disaster, jammed like crazy. I was like, shh. Went back home, realized, that what was going on is when I back then you could only have 10 round mags. They changed the rules all over the place. They go back and forth, but it was 2 10 round mags I had bolted together. The recoil from a shotgun is so vicious that you have to have a better optic. We'll talk about that later, that could take the pounding. So what I did is the first time I was shooting, the secondary mag sitting out here, so I could just do a quick reload, not have all these giant mags on me. The recoil was kicking the shells out of the secondary mag. Never did in practice, but I go to do a reload, I got 6 rounds in a 10 round mag, and the round's half out, so the mag wouldn't even go in, so I lost. So the next year I kind of figured it out. I finally won the Triple Crown 2 times in a row, and that was still with a 20-second jam. It's on some YouTube video. Like, I was did so good. I was able to absorb the penalties and the horrible, endless jams with the gun. That's why I sent it to Dissident to get a facelift, to get it to work. We got a nice little EOTECH on top of it right now. One of the better dot sights out there is the E-Flex we have right here. Extremely durable, top-loaded battery capability. It's got a 3-minute and 6-minute dot. It lasts like 20,000 hours. It's really good on 9mm rifles, ARs, even the shotgun right here, and also excellent on the pistols, the DPP footprint. So it's a good little optic, and it's got a great window size. So the gun's beautiful. But then back to the movies, what am I going to do with a Benelli at this point? I can't get any crazier than this. Like, you put some weird stock, it's not going to impress the audience. And the director wants to go level up all the time. Same thing went with the pistols. John Wick 2, Glock 34, great gun, shreds. You love it, it's awesome. Then John Wick 3, went with a Combat Master 2011. That's definitely a step up. Amazing gun, it's beautiful. Then I had to go step up on this one. What can I do? Great gun, it's a 5.4 2011, amazing gun. And it's also won the Nationals in the hands of my team. Great gun. But I was like, what am I gonna do next? So thought about a lot of ideas. I wanted to give it a different look. This is what I came up with. I wanted to go back to a 5-inch, not a 5.4. Every holster will work for it. And then I wanted the gun to have half the recoil, so I went with a compensator on it. A really deep comp, very effective. And then, of course, I wanted something fun for shredding bad guys. So the frame is razor sharp. It's got blades in it. And I was very lucky that they incorporated that into the film. When he runs out of his 6 magazines, he, shreds a guy with the frame, takes the slide off, and gives him a tracheotomy. The cool thing about this gun is the blades don't stick out unless you want them to. It's not some whack job gun on YouTube with some giant cut your artery and you bleed out being a dick. So that's the progression of the handgun. So we wanted to match up a shotgun that could be as shredding and insane as this handgun. We didn't go with an optic on it because Wick doesn't do optics unless he picks them up off of a dead guy. Just this thing. He doesn't think they're going to work when he needs them. So he doesn't need it to hit anybody. So shotgun, we had to go next level. So what did we go with? Genesis. We were trying to get this gun ready for John Wick 3. We weren't ready yet. I was very lucky to be introduced to Genesis through Eric Kinsel. We had been working together for 20-something years. He used to be with Voltor, and then he went to BCM. So we've always had this wonderful relationship. He turned me on to Cody and the guys at Genesis. And I thought we're never going to be able to pull this off. I tried with other companies because you want an AR platform. Don't get me wrong, the AK thing is great. It works. It's just, there's nothing like this. In other companies, we had some blowback. When we're doing on your AR-10 turn, it's going to be amazing. It was the biggest hunk of trash ever, a bolt action turd, didn't feed anything. Like, it's never going to happen, never going to happen. Finally, this showed up, and I was very lucky to give feedback, because what I do is just try stuff back and forth. Let's do this, let's do that, let's go back and forth. And in the end, we have a gun that's in one of the most insane action sequences in movie history. To see him take out, 60-something guys, not running the gun a billion rounds. I watched it 100 times. He's loading like before every 10 rounds, which is freaking awesome. With the dragon's breath, just shredding people. It's just one of the coolest scenes. Very blessed to be part of that whole thing. I don't know what to do if they're going to do a John Wick 5 with the gun and be a flamethrower or some nonsense. But also we had to match up the right optic. So with the EOTECH, it's incredibly reliable and durable. Most optics you can't put on these guns with the pounding they'll do. It's going to hold up. You need an optic that'll hold up. Also, you can shoot a bullet through the screen, the thing's still going to work. Like, what optic does that? That's unbelievable. So the ruggedness, the durability of this optic, which this gun, nothing else like it. The only thing I wasn't crazy about was the circle dot. I've never liked it. I won a lot of 3-gun matches, a lot of stuff out there with my AR-15, and when I went with a dot to win certain divisions where I wasn't using a variable optic, I just didn't want a circle and a dot. I just don't want all the information. Same thing with like my handguns. I just want a green fiber optic and a black rear. If you walk into the super squads, the best shooters in the world, they don't have red dots and white lines and on their iron-sighted guns and crap everywhere. It's too much information. They're going so freaking fast at lightning speed. They want to just focus on that front sight. They're not idiots. They're going to have the rear in the right spot. So same thing goes for this. I don't want a bunch of circles and crosshairs and nonsense. So we've been very lucky to have an optic made for us. We're one of the few of the companies that are able to offer this one that I'd really like it. It's just a dot, and it just kicks ass, and it's crazy rugged. So also we're going to go next level. This obviously is not for 3-gun. This is for wiping out goons inside of a warehouse and burning them up. So what are we doing? So we want to get into the 3-gun world with the Genesis. I've been going back and forth. We're pretty much there. This is an 18.5-inch barrel. The barrel does move into the gun a little bit, like a 1/4 inch. You have to have chokes and a comp. So without that, you're a joke. You cannot shoot a 3-gun match without choke capability, because you have every kind of option. You have flying birds, close birds, heavy steel. You got to have 6 chokes with you, and you got to know what the hell you're doing. You got to have 3 kinds of shotgun shells. You got to have soft bird shot. You got to have heavy bird shot. You got to have slugs. You got to have buckshot. You have 4 actually. And you got to know which ones to shoot and when. But you got to have capacities. What was holding back this gun was a couple things until now. Didn't have a comp on it and didn't have really chokes that were set up yet. So with this going on, with this 4-port compensator, it's the end of the world. And now they have a 15-round drum. So this will get through pretty much most stages without a reload. Hopefully it's not a 15-round stage you missed and you're kind of screwed. So what we also have is a 13-round mag now instead of just a 10-round mag. That we got 14 rounds nonstop. And if you drop this one, it's easier to clean. So with these 2 magazines, you can kind of get through pretty much any 3-gun course. And so everybody's been wanting, different states can now get this gun. This is going to be, I think, winning a lot of championships in the right hands. And I'm very looking forward to it. But we don't release this stuff till we go back and forth with details and details. You don't just, it looks cool, run this thing. It's all the details matter. How it's sprung, how heavy the bolt is, how the ports are on the comp. We've gone through iteration after iteration to get this to be perfect. That's why people that play with these guns, our guns, realize that when they shoot them and they handle them, they go, there's something about this gun. You can even be at the SHOT Show or the NRA show. There's a video where a guy, just a regular guy, he takes this gun and he racks it, and then he pulls through, he goes, and it's all the time because there's the details matter. It hasn't got some clunky beaver tail and goofy, crappy trigger pull and things like that. So I'm very lucky to pair up with these companies and do this, and we're excited and we're looking forward to what the future holds with this. Not just for 3-gun, just having an awesome shotgun that you can have for all kinds of fun events.